Hello, today I am going to show you how you can make hides and water balls for your slings very easily, very cheaply, from safe materials. I'm going to show you some I've already made. This is a simple water dish. It's very shallow but wide and completely water sealed. These ones look funny. Okay, don't laugh. Right, these were made, this was like a first test batch, but these are dual-sided. You can either have them laid with the knobbly bit on top if you've got a tiny sling and you're afraid of it drowning. You can use it this way around, or you can turn it this way around and bury the knobbly bit in the substrate, and then you've got a water dish here that's deep, so it will hold water, but the circumference is small, so the sling's not going to fall into it. And I also have a hide, which is in use by my brachypelma albipilosum Nicaragua, my true form curly hair, Momo. It's buried though. Momo did. She didn't bury it over. I placed it in and covered it over with soil because Momo's a burrower. A burrower. And as you can see, she's filled in the entranceway, but from the underside, I'm not going to tip it upside down to show you on camera, but from the underside, I can see her in there perfectly, but the over-the-top part is covered up. And she's really happy in that she hasn't come out since I put that in there. So I class that as quite successful. So this is what you need if you're going to make one of these for yourself. Polymer clay. Polymer clay is very cheap and very readily available. This pack came with 28 different colours. So this is the double packed. It's 28 different colours. This was the cheapest polymer clay on Amazon. It was like a tenner, and it came with some shaping tools as well. I normally buy a brand of polymer clay called Fimo, which is available colour by colour or in multi-packs like this, but it's a bit more expensive. Not that much more, probably about £20 for a big multi-pack. This was a tenner, so it's like half the price. But you can buy the individual blocks, and it is very cheap. It's very easy to use, which I am going to show you now, I think. Just going to pick a colour though. What colour are we going to use? We did yellow last time. Orange? Orange is a good colour. I like orange. I like them bright. I like to be able to see them. So I'm just going to put this to one side. So you can pick up a block of Fimo from Hobbycraft. This is the block of the individual stuff here. The Fimo stuff you get in Hobbycraft is much bigger, but this is just a test pack. So that's why it was like the cheapest one that you could get on Amazon. You don't need a lot of experience with polymer clay to use it. It's very easy. The only thing that you'll need to get is either some cling film or a food seal bag, just to seal it up afterwards, so it doesn't dry out. Polymer clay, very, very lightweight. So I am not worried about slings getting hurt in the hides. This stuff, very, very light. It's so versatile. So what you need to do is you get a little bit like this, and you need to warm it up in your hands, just like Play-Doh, basically. And just a little bit of rubbing, and this is already really pliable. So to make a little water dish, you just want to rub a little ball Whoops. Just rub a little ball. You can either do it in your hands like that, like that, or you can do it on your work surface. But you just want a little ball like that and finger press. Finger press. Now you see, we've got a little dimple, but it's not quite deep enough to be a water dish. So you want to get something round, and you can use anything round. You can use the end of a paintbrush. You can use a pipette. You can use a pen. You just want to be really gentle with it though, and just very gently, because all you want to do is deepen that hole. And then there we go. That's it. That's literally it. So we've done that. We're going to do some of the other designs, and we're going to do a hide. So I've done these. I'm going to do two of the other kind. So, no, I'll just do one. So, made it into a ball, and this time I'm just pressing it with my fingers. To do this that way, it's a bit trickier. You've got to use the paintbrush like this. So you've got a hole, and then you kind of lay it down. You've got to use a slightly thinner tool, so I'll use a different paintbrush, and then just around the outside. This is the second time I've made this sort of design, so I feel like I have got the technique down a little bit better. And there we go. Fight very, very carefully, very carefully. So there we've got, this has come out much better. So we've got the shallow dish one side, and then that dish the other side. So now we're going to do a hide. And again, you just rip off a little piece. Just takes a few seconds to warm up in your hand. Fimo, if you do end up buying Fimo brand, takes a bit longer to warm up. It is, there are a few other brands you can get on the market. Sculpey is one, and they typically are a little harder to work with. This has been really easy to work with. But yeah, like just a few minutes playing with it, and it softens it up. So this, I sort of make a square. Doesn't have to be perfect, just a rough square shape. And then again, I take a paintbrush and flatten it out a bit and make it like a bit longer. It doesn't matter if there's texture, it really doesn't matter. Your slings will not care. So I've wrapped it around, and I'm making some ledge. Is that the word for it? This is so it can be dug into substrate. So I just have to position it like this. So I'm going to turn. This is a very small cooking dish that I got from, I think it was Home Bargains or Pound Shop, something like that. I like to do these in a ceramic dish. This is for a small sling. I hasten to point out, but it's good for burrowing species because it means you shall be able to see them from the underside of the enclosure. So that's how we put it in. And all I do now is bake this for half an hour at the lowest setting on my oven, which is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And then it's done. You just leave it to cool. And that's it. It took about 6-7 minutes there to make those up. Maybe, if that. Bake it for half an hour and it's done. So I'm going to go bake these. So these have just come out the oven about 5 minutes ago, and they're still hot. Well, not hot, but warm. So while they're still like this, they are still a little pliable. And what I can see from this one is I've not made it wide enough for a regular sling. So this can really only be used for a tiny sling. It's still hot, so what we do to set it is we take a cup. Don't know why I'm doing this, I'll just move the camera. Just a cup of cold water and drop that in there. So this one's come out really well, very happy. So again, we're going to set this. And yeah, again, these are still warm, but they've cooled enough just so that I can touch them. They are still a little pliable, not enough to change shape, but this is just what happens. And then, floop. So they've all gone into the cool water, and they can just stay in there for a couple of minutes, and then they'll be fine. This is a well-known technique for setting your polymer clay. Just a cup of cold water or a bowl or whatever, just throw them in there. Obviously it wouldn't be decent, the hide wouldn't be usable for a sling Marley's size. As you can see, she's actually eating the cricket that she chopped up. Little psychopath. But for Pepper, where's Pepper? Here she is. Look how tiny Pepper is. I mean, I've had her for nearly 5 months, and she still hasn't molted. But she is a Grammostola pulchripes, or pulchripes, depending on how you like to pronounce that. And that sling hide would still be perfect size for her. So, right, they've been in the water for a couple of minutes, and they're fine to handle now. They're not hot at all. Just try not to spill water all over the table. So yeah, for sling Pepper's size, this is a perfect shaped hide, particularly if they are burrowers, because what you want is you want this sort of lip so that you can cover it in soil and it looks natural, but you've got the openings, and then you've got this on the underside, so if you look from the underside you can see your sling, and that's what you want. So that's how a very quick and easy and cheap way of making some polymer clay water balls and hides for your tiny slings.